Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy!
Hey folks, welcome to the second episode of Ages of Rock. I am Dennis Talbot.
I'm Alan Tate.
I'm Bill Algie.
And there you go. For our second show, we're going to do more than what we did last week because it was just the introduction and it got kind of into a hodgepodge of a little bit of everything. So we're going to have more of a topic driven on this time around. It's going to be the history of our concerts, a.k.a. Bill's Big Number. So you'll find out what that big number is here later. We actually don't even know what the number is. We're going to try to guess at that number. But we decided to, before we got into our topic, that we would maybe discuss for a little bit topics that you comes up on your news feeds about rock and roll or music in general. Anything that caught your eye this week? Bill, is there anything that caught your eye?
Oh, yeah. See, I posted on the Ages of Rock Facebook page that there was an issue with Justin Bieber and throwing a little fit in Europe and walking off his set and the tour because he didn't like the fact that somebody had spilled something and they couldn't get it wiped up, and so he acted like a 3-year-old. So I posted, what does this have to do with our show? And didn't get a lot of responses, but hey, so I looked it up. So who do you think has been somebody in rock that has thrown a fit and left the show early? Okay, here's the reason I would never go see Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose. He's done it more than once. He shows up late for shows. He's inconsistent. And I don't know why anybody paid good money to go see that guy, because he is all about himself, not anything about the fans, not anything about, doing what's right. It's just, that crap just makes me crazy. And so I looked it up, and there's you can go and search bands that have walked off the stage or whatever. And there's like 18 of them.
Really?
Yeah. There was like that they mentioned on there. So it was crazy. Eric Clapton was one of them, which I never thought that Eric Clapton would be one of them, but he walked off the stage because the sound wasn't right in his ears and nobody could hear it. And he got mad and left and didn't come back for the show. Then there was another one where Jack White got mad because he didn't think the audience was into the show, so he left after four songs. I'm like, what? So there's been it's something that it just amazes me that people are okay taking your money, but they're not okay producing a product. So I just was really just amazed by it. But I haven't been to any of those shows yet, but if I am at one, I will be sure to find somebody in their band to make sure they know how I feel, because that's ridiculous. It's just crazy. So that was one big thing.
Well, with Justin Bieber, just real quick, his record in the last few years anyway has been just retarded. He acts like a kid all the time. He has no responsibility about anything. He did that drag racing through his neighborhood. He's done stuff. It's just, but he has nobody's ever called him out on it. He just basically buys his way out of any trouble that he gets into, and it'll catch up to him at some point. I said something to you earlier about the fact, when it's creepy for a 12-year-old, whenever he gets to the age where it's creepy for a 12-year-old girl to get her panties in a bunch, his career is going to be over. And you said it's probably over now anyway, but he'll fall on the roadside of on the road with all these other, teen idols that were big at some point. And he'll be doing some D-list reality show at some point later in his life, or Dancing with the Stars or some kind of crap like that. After he loses his money, moves in with MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and the rest of the bunch.
By the way, that wasn't a Vanilla Ice, not sample. So the Vanilla Ice thing, that was his original music. He didn't sample that from Queen or anything.
He added that note.
Yeah, note for note. Exactly. By the way,
For note.
All right. So anybody else have any music news or comments about that?
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Bieber jumping off the stage because somebody spilled something on the floor. Then you've got Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters falls and breaks his legs, or his leg, a leg, not Getting a little crazy.
All of his legs.
He broke all of his legs. No, he broke his leg and basically propped up in a chair and had somebody wrap his leg up, and he finished the show, and then he went to the doctor after it was over. You know, so for every Justin Bieber you've got out there, there's somebody that is give the crowd their money's worth.
And not only has he finished the show, he's finished the tour, and he's still touring. And it's just, it doesn't matter. I mean, I saw him with Dennis, and I don't know how much different it'd be except we run around like a madman, but they killed it. I mean, that's just bottom line.
And I've seen him when he runs around. It's really cool too. But like you even mentioned to me that night up in Indianapolis, you looked at me, you said, you know, he hasn't been on that chair all night, and he's still one of the best freaking frontmen I've ever seen. and like I said, that was going to bring me to my deal. My headline that I saw this week is Foo Fighters. They have a really good or bad habit, or say a good habit, of putting stuff out early, teasing people. The other day on their website, they put a counter, and it was counting down starting at 24 days and whatever. It's going to end on November what do I figured out? November 22nd at midnight is when the announcement's going to be. And so there's all this speculation of what's coming out. And there's like a road sign with the Foo Fighters insignia in it. My guess is that they're going to probably do this because they just finished up the Sonic Highways. They had that documentary, and they just finished the tour. I'm thinking that they had talked previously about doing another Sonic Highways 2, not necessarily studios in the U.S., but maybe go to abroad over to England. And I know that they've had some, recordings over there. There was also talk of that when they were in Austin here the other day, he was back in the studio and supposedly wrote or recorded 5 songs. So there may be an EP coming out. There's also talk about maybe a live CD coming or live DVD coming out. So I don't know what's going to, but it'll be something good, I'm sure. So that's what I've seen. And then another little news burp that we talked about earlier. It was 1976, 39 years ago on October 29th. Kiss was on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. And I know for myself, even though I had their albums and seen pictures of them, that was my first time to ever see them move. I mean, it was like to see them playing, even though it was a lip sync. It was still cool. It changed my life. It was one of those things where it was spectacular.
It was a well-edited lip sync.
Exactly. And I'm sure that day, they should have sent Gene a little message that day saying, hey, you better buy you a bigger house because this kid in Indiana just seen this shit last night. He'll be sending you all this money for the next 30 years. So me along with a bunch of other little kids. But anyway, I was hooked at that point. But anyway, that's what I've got for this week, news-wise.
Well, let's move on to, I guess, the number of concerts or memorable concerts or disastrous concerts, all of the above.
There's been some of those.
Oh, God. So we know that Bill's got a big number, and we're going to guess that number here in a bit. I thought I had a lot more than I did. Memories of, it seems like it's like, man, I went to a lot of shows, and then you start writing them down. It's like, well, I didn't go to as many shows as I thought I went to.
Or you don't remember as many shows as you think you should.
Now, I was just the opposite, because I didn't think I had been to as many shows as I had. And then I sat down and was talking with my wife before we started recording. And she was like, well, don't forget this one. Well, you went to that one. Well, we went to this one together. And I'm like, oh, wow.
So who between you and I, who do you want to go first as far as basically our number? What is your number?
I'm going to guess Bill's number is around 675.
Now, by that laugh, I'm trying to think if he's. My original thought.
No.
my original thought before I started counting mine up was 800 and something. Now,
oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Now, but once, because I thought I had over 100, 150. Once I figured out what my real number was, I backed it back. I'm thinking you're more in about the 375 range.
Oh, I'm going to let you guys down.
Number not that big.
No, I mean, if you think about number of shows, think about number of concerts you've been to. How would you go to 800 concerts?
Yeah, but you've been doing them
It's like
for
365 days in a year. I mean,
in the 70s.
it's like I've been to 5 years of shows. No, that doesn't make sense at all.
We wanted your number to be big, Bill. That's the whole thing.
Well, it is pretty big actually. So, the number. So,
All right. Before we get to your number, Alan,
Okay.
what was your number, real quick?
My number, maybe 75.
Okay.
all right.
You
So what
said
were
two. Sorry.
so what were you, Dennis?
I was at 54.
Okay,
And I was really disappointed. I was trying to think, and I'm like, I told you earlier, I think that I seen REO because they used to come to town every year and then play the Metzger, the shed out there, and with some other. Usually they would combine it with Sticks or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And I know I seen a couple of those shows more than but I just couldn't remember when or who they were with, and I just what, this is close.
So did your numbers include the number of times you've seen the same band headline?
No.
Yeah, this was number of concerts.
Number of concerts. So it could be that you've seen Kiss 10 times, so that number would be in there.
That's exactly how many times I've seen Kiss. Good guess.
Yeah.
I seen them 13 is what I counted two. I counted the two the conventions.
Okay. Oh, good Lord. You can't count that. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah, you can count that.
They played us. I mean, they played.
Hey, you guys can just keep counting, man. It's okay. You can count. You want to count when you watch the videos?
We're going to catch up to you.
The Kissology videos, those count.
How about all the bootlegs?
You can watch. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. All right. So
my number's huge then.
So we had 55 from Alan, right? No, 55 from Dennis. And
54 for me.
50, oh, sorry, I gave you one. Didn't mean to.
Yeah.
And then Alan had 75.
Approximately 75.
So
I know that I'm forgetting some shows.
Okay, so shows, I'm at 187.
Wow, I thought it would be a lot higher.
But
that's a lot of shows, though.
It's a lot of shows. So, but bands, I was shocked when I started doing it because I was around about 230 bands.
Right.
But because some bands I've seen, Kiss I've seen 42 times. So I count those as 42 shows because that was 42 shows. I went and paid.
Sure. Well, that's what it was.
I went and paid Gene 42 times. So I should get to count those. There were something.
Did you get a thank you note or anything from that?
One time we did get to meet him one time. That was awesome.
That's right. You did. I forgot.
That was pretty cool.
And your number was again, you said I'm sorry.
187.
187. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, So, and honestly, I love going to shows. I do. I go to stuff sometimes that most people wouldn't go to for crying out loud. And we do it through, and it's everything. I did the number. It's rock acts. It's pop acts. It's country. I went through a little country phase in the 80s because I think most people did except for Dennis in the 90s, who hates country to this day. And then, I did, and I listen to Christian music, so I've been to a bunch of those shows too. So, those are kind of, actually I didn't even count some of those shows, so I got to add some of those. But it's just all over the map. So I think that's cool, and trying to get a variety. And it's just kind of whatever floats my boat at the time. But it's a lot of shows, and there's a lot of money that's probably been spent.
Oh, exactly.
But I don't go to shows and buy T-shirts and all that crap typically. I mean, very rarely do I ever. I couldn't tell you. Actually, I think the last concert T-shirt I bought was with Dennis in 1996.
And that was a $75 shirt too.
$75.
That's a lot of money back
in
then.
Louisville, Kentucky, because again, Gene Simmons needed some money. So I gave money to him. So that's the shows that I've seen. Do you want to talk about?
Do you know the thing is though too? What helps you out, and what where Alan and I have an issue with as far as how we can't see as many. You got to watch what comes into. I mean, for local for Evansville, we're dying for shows down here. We get these country shows in, stuff like that. But I mean, to get a good rock show in, they just don't come in anymore like they did back in the day. With you being within an hour of Indianapolis, oh my gosh! If I would live that close to Indianapolis, like you said, my credit card would be way up there, and my number would be way up there too. So we're driving. Kelly and I, we drove to Indianapolis 3 times this year. We drive to Louisville. We've went to St. Louis. We go to Nashville's 2 hours away for us, so we go to Nashville quite a bit. We go to Memphis to see the Foo Fighters. So, our biggest issue, if we had more availability for concerts in Evansville, that was supposed to, you build it, they will come with the Ford Center. Well, guess what?
Well, they're coming. They're just not the bands you want to see.
Yeah, they're the country bands. So.
Well, the country bands is right. You build it, they will come if you properly advertise it. The Judas Priest concert, when it was here last year, it never got that much publicity.
That's a promoter issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, it just is.
But you know what? Even for a rock show here and for Evansville, I know this is getting a little off topic. But if you got a rock act or you want to bring a rock act in, put it in the center and fill that place up. I saw Alice Cooper at the center, and I'm telling you what, it was a great show. It's great sound. You had a lot of people packed in there. The stage is plenty big enough, and it was fine. But you put them in the stadium, it would have been like, say you go to these Priest shows. I mean, Judas Priest was a big band, but when you go there and you look around, it's like going, boy, we can take about any seat we want. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you bought seats. I don't know why. It should have just been general admission and
it makes me embarrassed. I mean, for our town, these guys are, boy, this town really hates us, but we don't. It's just a matter of, like you said, I'd rather them lower the price of the ticket, do like Motley Crue did. You remember those they had to because they sucked at that point when we went up and seen them in Indy. But those tickets were $20 for the lawn, but they filled it up. Then you make your money on merchandise, make your money selling beer, whatever. But put butts in the seats. I mean, that's what they got to do. You don't have anybody there, you're not going to sell anything. And then they go, well, that's why the concerts don't come in because we can't fill seats. Well, and like Alan said too, promote the damn thing. Put it on the radio. Put it. There's no ever people did. I knew people who liked Judas Priest that didn't even know they were in town. They said, well, I'd have went if I'd have known. Well, you don't advertise it. How are people going to know about it?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
That's too bad. So, Alan, tell me about some of the shows you've seen. Who all have you seen?
Well, the first concert I ever saw was Kiss and Ted Nugent back in '87 on the Crazy Nights tour. First concert my mom finally let me go to. Then Alice Cooper was in town like 2 days later, and she's like, no way in hell.
How old were you?
But that was only because it was a school night. I was 17.
Oh, wow.
I grew up in small town Kentucky, and a school night meant you was at home in bed by 10.
Mm-hmm.
But
Back in the day.
I've got my list of stuff here, Kiss, the 87, that was memorable because it was my first concert, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a concert, so I brought somebody with me to the concert, and she was awesome during Ted Nugent, but she conveniently passes out during Kiss, so we have to go from the front of the stage to the back of Robert Stadium. So then I don't go to another concert again for a whole nother year because I graduated high school, joined the Air Force. Come home on leave the following December, and House of Lords, Joan Jett, and Cheap Trick were at Robert Stadium.
I saw that show.
Yeah, I did too, and I forgot about House of Lords.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
But we got there early, and the guy that I went with, we both had military IDs, so we faked our way to the front with our IDs. People just get out of the way and they see something that looks official. So we get up there and we're at the front of the thing. House of Lords does their thing. I come to see Joan Jett because I was in love with Joan Jett.
Because she's Joan Jett.
Joan Jett, bitches. But same thing happened, House of Lords comes out. She's, ah! The minute Joan Jett comes out, there she goes. I'm like, you're never going to another concert with me again. And I don't think
same girl?
Same girl. Yeah. I took her to the Kiss concert, and she wanted to make it up to me for what happened. So she took me to the Joan Jett concert when I come home on leave. And she did the same thing. So I was like, well, I don't
She could have done something else to make it up to you. It wouldn't involve her passing out.
Family friendly. And
she would have known what the floor looked like because I just left her there. Hey, that like early, when people, we call it when they put dance or not, what was it? I'm so old now, I can't think. When people Go across the crowd
You mean body surfing?
They're body surfing. You could have body surfed her ass to the front. Just enjoy the show and been done with it.
I did have a buddy of mine one time. Well, actually, a guy that worked at Ritzy's with us. That with Dennis and I, he wanted to go see Kiss really bad. I think it was Lick It Up tour, and so we go to the show, and I couldn't find him for a while, and I'm down in front, can't find him. Finally, I had another buddy of mine there, and I said, I'm going to go try to find this guy. Left and found him in the bathroom, and he's like just standing in the bathroom, kind of staring around, just kind of staring out in space. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, dude, I took this hit of this stuff. This guy gave me. And I'm like, I took drugs from somebody you don't know. What are you doing? He goes, I'm tripping really bad. You're gonna take me home. I'm like, oh no, that is not happening. Nope. I said, I'm not taking you home. He goes,
it's a trip for one.
The plane had one seat, and I said, I'm not taking you home. You need to call somebody or something because I'm not taking you home. And way before cell phones. So, I said, just go outside and sit down, and when this show's over, I'll pick you up. So, swear to God. Walked out the front of Roberts Stadium, and he's sitting on the curb. The show was over. But
still tripping balls.
Take him home. I'm like, I'm not taking you home. Not going to happen.
Oh, I've seen a lot of stuff like that. We were seeing, what was it, that concert? I don't remember. It wasn't the Doobies. It was, might have been that one with, I seen with Dawkins, we were talking about earlier. And these two guys sit down there with us, and his one buddy, like I said, they're both underage, look like it. The one kid starts throwing up, so the other kid says, "I'll be back." He just left. So he left his throwing up buddy sitting right next to us, and finally he did it again. I'm like, dude, I know you're in bad shape, but you need to go find your buddy. So he got him out of there. It's like, really?
That reminds me of another memorable concert. But Bill, you need to throw something memorable out there.
Okay, so I've had a couple memorable shows.
Well, before you do that, though, because I was going to ask you a couple questions, and this kind of pertains to that same deal.
Okay.
If you want to do it this way. I had about 3 questions I want to ask you guys. And we didn't talk about this before. And the one question was, what name, and this basically is, what something memorable from a concert, and it doesn't have to be something it's more or less something that the band did that was different. You know what I'm saying? As far as, and I'll give you my example. That way it'll kind of help you guys, because I couldn't really think about how to word this. I went down and saw, it was actually at the Evansville Coliseum. It was a BSR, Slaughter, Warrant, and Quiet Riot. And this is after they had done their prime, and there wasn't 75 people down there. I mean, I felt terrible if I didn't have enough money to fill the gas.
What year was that?
Well, I got a hold of a friend of mine who played in BSR, and because I was curious about the year, and he couldn't even remember what year it was. He thinks it was around 99 to 2000 is when he thinks it. Like I said, this is when their careers were. I mean, Janie was still with Warrant, and Janie had short hair at the time. But here was my memorable, and it was kind of cool because Quiet Riot, they had Rudy, they had Carlo, or not Carlo, but Carlos. Everybody was in the original band, so that was kind of cool. The cool part about the show was I was not a Warrant fan whatsoever. Didn't care much about Warrant. It's like you guys are, they're a bunch of pansies, and the only thing I liked was Uncle Tom's Cabin. I thought that was kind of a cool song. Midpoint through the show, they had an electrical issue and something on the stage, and it wasn't the whole lights went out, but it was something on the back line. Their amps weren't working right, and blah blah blah. So they're mixing around trying to fix that. So Janie said, "I'll tell you what." So he says, I wrote a lot of songs, that people don't realize they're, the slower songs. He come out there, dude, with an acoustic guitar and did 3 songs. He did I Saw Red, I think he did Heaven, and then he did that other one, and I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, he was phenomenal. He was sober. I mean, that was one thing about it. If he wasn't screwed up like he was toward the end. I mean, he probably had a few, but man, the dude could sing. He could play guitar just by himself, and I was very impressed. And after that, I kind of liked them a little bit more. It was one of those points when it was just kind of different.
Gave you a little respect.
Exactly. It was like, hey, you know what? That's not too bad. And so anyway, that's where I was getting to the saying, something that happened at a concert as far as musician, what the band did that made it memorable, something different. You know where I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably for me, my friend Mike and I went to see Rocklahoma in 2012 and 2013, and give me a minute to think of that. Pop Evil.
I've seen them.
Was
Yeah.
one of the bands that was there, and there was a family in the front row, and the singer for Pop Evil asked if they could. They had a little 3 or 4 year old kid. Asked if they could let him come up on stage, and he held the kid and sang along, and let the kid sing on the microphone, and that was something that was memorable to me because he interacted really good with the crowd.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of bands that do that really make a big difference. I think a band, the Foo Fighters right now, and I know you hear us talk about the Foo Fighters, but honestly, they're a band right now that just have it together and they're doing the right things, I think. Yeah, I think I know Dennis thinks, but you see them pulling up guys off the stage because somebody holds up a sign that says, "I want to sing Hero with you." So,
or I want to drink a beer, chug a beer.
I want to drink a chug a beer, or I want to play.
See the one where the guy was crying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wanted to sing Hero, so he's like, I could play drums on this song, and Dave Grohl's like, yeah, get your ass up here. You think you got it going on? Let's go. So, and I have not seen one of those videos yet where somebody fails, so it's good but I think those things are really, that does definitely make a show. We've been to shows before that. A show that for us that was memorable was we went to see a guy. There was a guy that we followed a lot in the late '80s, early '90s. His name is Gary Morris. Most people don't even know who he is. He was a country artist. Was the original singer of the song "Wind Beneath My Wings" that Bette Midler ended up doing and whatever. But it was something that my wife and I really liked a lot. So it was right before we got married. So it was in 1986 is when this happened, I guess. We had sent him a note. Actually, she wrote a note and gave it to him that said, "Would you sing at our wedding?" Well, he stopped the show and started talking to her, pulled her. She ran down as Meskers, hugged her in front of all these people, announced our wedding, and said he couldn't come, but he would send some other people. It was just really cool. I mean, but it's that crowd interaction stuff for me that makes the show. It isn't just getting up there and doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's making it special for everybody that's there that night and making it a little bit different. So we've had a couple of things that have been just oddball stuff. We had, the first Kiss show I saw, I didn't know it at the time, or I realized at the time, but we had a lighting rig that fell over. That the guy was fine, but it stopped the show for a while, and but just pretty interesting that happened. And we've had mishaps and things like that happen. I was at the last Kiss show that Vinnie Vincent played, and
I was there.
That show is memorable because you want to talk about 3 guys that were pissed off at one guy. They were really pissed off.
Well, you could see it.
I was standing on the right hand side of the stage in front of Paul, and looking at the stage on the right hand side in front of Paul, and they shared the mic with Vinnie, and Vinnie would rip off a guitar solo in the middle of, it'd be pitch black on the stage and you rip off a guitar solo. It's like, and at the end, Paul was mad. You could tell he was mad. He was coming over, giving him the cut it thing and pulling the plug, and it was not pretty. And to find out, later that was the last show that he ever played with Kiss didn't surprise me much, because that dude, he thought he was all of it in a bag of chips. And I think he found out that, Gene and Paul were the ones holding the bag.
Right. Well, he was also, from what I understand, they didn't let him get back on the tour bus. They made him find his own way home.
No, yeah, I've heard that from more than one person, and I also heard that from somebody that worked at the stadium at the time.
Wow.
That when they left, they got on the truck, in a van, and went to the buses and stuff like that, and then they just said, "See you later, buddy. Have a nice day." So
wow.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. So yeah. But, I've had a couple of things that were pretty just crazy that had happened. Quick story, I took my son in 2009 to see Kiss for the first time in Chicago. It was kind of a thing that we had done for him that wasn't I'd set it up, and it wasn't really – it was planned, but he didn't know about it. So I did this little thing where we were supposed to go to Indianapolis to pick up some a basketball goal. And I kind of acted like I got lost and told him that, we needed the map out of the glove box. Well, he opened the glove box and I had the ticket sitting there, and they fell out, and they fell in his lap. So that was the first time he saw them. And he was, I think, 11. if I'm not wrong, which is the same age I was when I saw him the first time. And he just cried. So we're driving to Chicago because it wasn't in Indy. It was in Chicago. We had to spend the night and stuff over there. He's crying. I'm crying. We're like, oh, think of my boy. It was extremely emotional. So
and Gene's going, I'm making money. I got a new thing.
And the fact that I bought the tickets like through a reseller.
Oh.
Those are the most expensive Kiss tickets I've ever bought. So we don't talk about it at all. It's not the subject to talk. But when we get up there and we're sitting there and so it's his first real big show. That's his first big thing. And we're sitting there and we're like the second or third people into the stadium. It was at the United Center. And we walked around and looked at the Michael Jordan stuff and we're sitting there and he goes, hey, I want to go get a pen. And I said, well, what, like, why would you want a pen? He goes, because if they're signing autographs after the show, I want to be able to get an autograph. I'm like, dude, that's not how this works. we're not signing autographs after the show. He goes, no. He goes, you just don't know. And I said, okay, let's go. So we walked out front. There's no pens. You know, there's no pens you can put on your shirt. There's no pens. And we get back and I said, so whatever. So we're talking to some people. Some people come up behind us. Find out the people that sitting behind us work for A&E in Chicago. And this was when Family Jewels was on. And I could overhear them talking. I'm trying to inject myself into their conversation. So if something, magical would happen. So what ended up happening was one of the guys that was with them didn't show up because he missed his plane. And they had 2 extra tickets. They had 2 extra backstage passes. And we were like, I said, well, I'd be glad to help with those backstage passes if you, And the guy goes, well, no, we can't do that because we would meet Gene. We're going to be meeting Gene for the television show, and we have some promotional materials. And they showed me the promo materials, stuff like that. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. So we're sitting there. They leave, and Alex looks over and he goes, that'd be the coolest thing ever if that happened. So we're sitting there, and about 2 minutes later, the producer or the guy comes back and he says, introduces himself, and he said, I'd like to invite you and your son back to meet Gene Simmons. So that's the second time. Swear to God, second time on that trip, I'm crying. I mean, he thinks I lost. Trying to call Lisa on the phone. I'm like, oh God, man, it was ridiculous. But we have pictures, and we did meet Gene, and he was in his full regalia. It was awesome. I wanted to see Buck Cherry was the opening act. I don't care.
Buck who? Buck Owens? I don't know.
And I think we got back to the seats. I think Kiss played. I don't really know, but it was ridiculous. It was incredible. So that's one of the show. That's one of an event that I don't think we'll ever forget. It's just. And Gene was cool, honestly. Something I've always worried about meeting artists, and I've met quite a few, is that they'll be dicks, and you've pumped all this money into music for them and whatever, and they end up being, jerks, and you just think, God, that's just, how can that be? And I haven't met anybody yet that was like that. I haven't met I haven't met anybody that was like that. Right. Everybody's been pretty cool, and I've met, country artists are a lot more available than rock artists are, and I've met a bunch of country folks, and they're just really pretty cool people, and they're just that's the good part. I think more bands that get popular faster or stay popular longer, it's because they build a fan base, and it's because of that stuff. It isn't because of being jerks and that stuff. So, anyway, that's probably a longer story than what we wanted, but it's still
that's great. That's great. Okay, another question. Question number 2 out of 3. What band have you went and seen? And the opening band was somebody that you had never seen, and you went out the very next day or whenever your first availability and bought their album. Was just floored by a band that you had never even heard of before. Has that happened to you guys?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, except.
Oh, see, that was mine. I mean, that was
like that little German guy got out there and just busted ass, man. It was awesome.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was that Vinny show, at that Kiss show.
It was. The next day, I couldn't get there fast enough. Balls to the wall as fast as I could get there.
You were probably somebody I bumped into at the disc jockey to get the fucking thing, because I was busting balls to get in to get that album. I was like, you got the Accept album, I got to get it now. But no, it was like that. We were sitting there, and I remember I was just, I had never seen, that was my first Kiss show. So I was just excited. I mean, I was just like elated, just oh my God, I'm going to see Kiss. And I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, this is my first Kiss show. I was talking to these people standing next to me, and I was about center on the floor, but center just a little bit back, and probably a stone's throw from you, Bill. And but it was funny because I was sitting there and I was talking to the guy and I go, "Who's this opening band? Except who? Oh, because they're good." I'm like, "Okay, I gotta just get Kiss on here." And I mean, they came out there, man, and Wolf Hoffman has become one of my favorite guitar players. You know, he's out there with that flying V, and he's doing this shit, and I'm like, here, take my money right now. Sign me up. I'm there. And but yeah, I went out the next day and bought that. It also happened with we saw a band down at Center. I think it was when we seen Shine Down and another one. It was a real young group called Automatic Fire. And all they've ever had out was an EP. They sold it there in the lobby. We bought it there that day. I mean, it's got 5 great songs on it, but they never did much after that. We went and seen Amos Lee and up there at the Murat. I think it's what it is. It's a Murat in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's another great venue to see.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They had this opening act. This girl came out with a guy playing acoustic guitar. Her name was Kat Ebenson. And I actually bought her album on iTunes before she was finished. That was the I was sitting there going,
wow, there you go.
I'm like going, I bought it. Look, we got the album.
How fast are you selling records? We're selling them as we speak.
And I actually did the same thing when we went down to that Seether, Godsmack, Hailstorm. There was a band called, No, I just had it earlier. Royal, God damn it. But anyway. They were so good. I can't remember.
Have you left out a word yet? Just
No, I kept thinking it's Brook Royal. Sorry, and they were really good. They were a young band, but they were. I mean, they had their shit together, and ended up buying that album real quick. So that's something. But I find it's impressive when you go see somebody that you don't even know anything about, and they're so impressive that you just like kind of, I need their shit now. I got to go. You know.
Yeah. What about you, Alan?
I guess for me, probably when I was stationed in Germany, it was either in 89 or 90. I don't remember when it was. But I went to Hanover to a club and saw White Lion.
Oh, yeah.
And a band called Pink Cream 69 opened up for them. And they made an impression on me. But, of course, that impression is gone because I no longer have their CD. It just disappeared over time, I guess. I don't even know what happened to it. But that was a memorable. Also, it was a memorable concert as Mike Trent fell off the stage.
Oh. There you go.
He laid there for a little bit before he got up. I think it knocked the wind out of him.
Got a little bell rung.
Yeah.
Blackstone Cherry is another band for me that I saw them down at Louisville at a free show. I think they opened for Shinedown, if I'm not wrong. And they were they're local from the Louisville area. But it was like their time they had their first album out. So it's been about 5 years ago or whatever. They were really good. And it was Southern rock, but more of a really hard edge Southern rock. So
sure.
It was really good. I mean, I went out the next day and bought the CD. So it's amazing, when you see stuff that you don't expect. I mean, I think that's the cool part too. And you go to shows and you meet, you see bands that you don't know, and you kind of like, they get you, it's all about emotion, right? So music's, for me anyway, it's about emotion, how it makes you feel and doesn't move you. And I've had some bands that have moved me in the wrong direction. Went to see them live and went, what the hell, never see this again. So those things happen too, that you kind of go, that was a total waste of money. So
Alan, did you go see, I know because you're in Evansville, you might have seen it with me. Did you go down and see the Anthrax Volbeat concert?
No, I wanted to, but I was either teaching that night or I had a sound gig.
Oh, yeah. We actually got to Kelly's friend. They had her husband works for Sonatrol, so they had their corporate box up there. So we got to sit up there and watch it. And that was a really good show. But there was an opening band there, and I didn't catch their name. It was like one of those ones. They were pretty impressive, but I guess not impressive enough for me to get their name. So
they left such an impression. I don't remember who.
But they were good though. I mean, I looked them up the next day, but I didn't. The thing is, no anymore though. When I got Spotify, I don't go out and buy the album. I'll look them up. Yeah. Okay, they were on there, but then it wasn't enough for me to buy their album. But the few songs that they played was pretty good.
Did Volbeat headline that show?
You know what? Volbeat was. Kelly was. That was her. She wanted to see Volbeat. So I'm like, sure, let's go. And I wanted to see Anthrax. I'd never seen Anthrax.
Yeah, I'm not a big Anthrax fan.
See, I like Anthrax. And I tell you what, they were damn good. I mean, it was really, really good.
They are a killer Kiss cover band.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I've heard their beat covers on that. But Volbeat actually was very, very impressive. I mean, they were the only thing that they don't do exactly like the album is their background vocals are really weak. I mean, you can tell that he's doubling himself quite a bit on the albums because he's got that real
he's got that weird voice.
Now there again, they were really in. There was a shit gob of kids there, and I never quite figured that out. People were bringing their kids to to an Anthrax and Volbeat concert, but there at the end, he did the same thing. He had a bunch of kids. He said, "I see a lot of kids here. Bring them up on stage." So he lined them up along the back. And there's one little kid come out there, and these guys all got this hair gel. I don't know if that's they were from like Norway or whatever it was, but he got this kid's hair all made it into a thing, and they were real they were fist pumping all the kids and shit. Well, I thought that was kind of cool too. And like I said, I tell you, a little bit of that will take a band a long way because, like I said, Dave Grohl is he doing little shit like that gets him. He's on the news every day. I mean, he's on some kind of feed every day. For some silly thing that he does, that's nice, Because I seen this thing the other day about was it Mark Sorum or is it Mark Sorum or the drummer for
Mark Sorum?
Mark Sorum.
Yeah,
he made a comment. He goes, "Yeah, Foo Fighters, they're just too clean." And I'm like thinking, yeah, what was the last thing you did, or when's the last time you played? They're just not edgy and they're not dangerous enough. Okay, now that got you where?
Well, Mark's the player. Mark's the player at the rock camps because that's where artists go to die.
Justin Bieber will be there at some point giving vocal lessons.
Yeah, there's been a guest at a couple of those from a band that we really like. So I think Gene's visited one of those. I think Ace has taught at one of those. I think
one too.
I think Paul's done some. Because they're in Vegas, they're a hop, skip, and a jump usually from.
Sure.
And I thought, hey, if you can learn how to play in a band, there, I probably ought to sign up for that. But I can't figure out how to get the money to fly to Vegas for a week and be in a band that they look at me and go, "What's the old dude doing here?" I don't need the trauma.
All right, real quick. Last question. This is a pretty easy one. This doesn't get too in depth, but it made sense to me because I seen it when I went and seen Van Halen. Only tickets we could get to, and we went to. And the question is where is the worst venue for music you've ever been to? And my story was. It's probably the same place you're going to say because when we went to go see Van Halen, we had to go to Indianapolis to see it. Well, I looked online, was talking to them, and we looked on some of the forums. They were talking about people seeing Rush up there, and they say it's the worst place to see a concert. It echoes. It's the worst, and it's up there. Is I think now it's called what? It used to be Conseco Fieldhouse.
Yeah,
now
Bankers Life.
Bankers Life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. So me and Mike, we got on early, and of course, those tickets for. We saw them on their first round of before they had to shut down and send Eddie back to rehab again. We saw them on that first leg, and we got tickets. I mean, they were selling like crazy. We got on there, and I finally did all the shit, and within 10 minutes, we were like way up. I mean, the top part of Conseco. So we get up there, and we're all excited about seeing Van Halen, and I'm telling you what, they started playing. They come out and played Romeo's Delight. It took me 3/4 of a song to figure out what they were playing. It was going to that back wall and then bouncing back. So you catch it here and coming back here. And it was terrible. I mean, told Mike, I said, it's just garbage. I can't hear this shit. So we finally went down and we were just going around and staying. If you're floor level, it's not too bad. Or if you're kind of in that lower section, it's not too bad. So we found this handicap place. We went back in the corner and just kind of stood there for a long time until they finally kicked us out, and we had to find another. So we just kind of walked around the whole night because our seats were terrible. I mean, you couldn't hear nothing up there. I mean,
they fixed that.
Did they?
Oh yeah, it's much better.
Good thing, because I tell you what, there was a bunch of pissed off people up there. Yeah. My nose was bleeding to start out with, and then after that.
You're sitting like that. I mean, it's.
I tell you, it is steep. It's scary steep.
Yeah.
I was like,
the RCA Dome was like that.
Yeah. Any of those domes like that were really bad.
Yeah.
And see, that's one concert that I didn't get to put on my list. I had tickets for it, but the Monsters of Rock concert back in, it would have been 87 maybe. It was Scorpions, Van Halen. Well, actually, it was Scorpions, Van Halen. Was it Metallica? Oh, there was like 6 bands. I didn't get to go. Kelly, I had to fly out to New Mexico for a job. So Kelly, it was the next day, and Kelly went, but she said the same thing. It was real bad. It said the echo in the old RCA dome was just horrendous. And but anyway, Bill or Alan, you want to jump in there?
Well, I guess the RCA dome would be the worst venue that we ever saw. We saw, which was funny. WGBF of all stations was giving away Melissa Etheridge tickets.
Right.
And I won a pair of.
Look at those face.
But they were giving them away. I won a pair of tickets. My wife wanted to go see them, so we went to see them.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Melissa Etheridge. I just think it's odd that WGBF was giving them.
She probably put on one of the top 5 shows I've ever seen.
My sister's seen her a bunch.
Yeah. And I've seen Kenny Aronoff play for everyone.
Yeah, because he's played for everybody. There's not anybody he hasn't played for.
That night, I've seen him play for John Mellencamp. I saw him play for Chickenfoot. If I think about it long enough, I'll figure out the other bands that he's played with. But, the Melissa Etheridge show at RCA Dome, the venue itself was weird because those steps are so steep. We saw a woman that looked like Ziggy Stardust era David Bowie that was coked out of her gourd. And, she was walking down those steps, and I told Laura she's going to fall. There she went. She probably fell down 10 steps before someone caught her.
Wow.
But, that's kind of odd that Melissa Etheridge would be in the venue that big.
I'm surprised.
Was it pretty full?
It was full, yeah.
Wow.
Well, she had the regular stage, and then they took, because they didn't have an opening act. She played for like 3 hours. They didn't have an opening act. Then they took like a 15-minute intermission, and when they come back out, you know how Paul Stanley does that little circle stage out there when he flies out for Love Gun? Well, she went out to a stage like that, and some of the members were there, and some of them were still on the stage, and they did some songs like that.
3 hours,
as best
that's
I
crazy.
can remember. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that she'd been there.
That was after she. That was 97.
Yeah, and she was probably like, that's got to be the top. That's probably her peak, right?
Yeah,
probably like
close
when Only One. Probably when Only One was out. I imagine that.
Yeah.
Just played that Saturday night.
That's good. That's good stuff. I mean, she's a good artist.
There's a funny story behind that song about Saturday night. I'll have to tell you. This guy's off there.
So the worst venue for me, you mentioned the Murat in Indianapolis,
Sure,
which is I have not been to the Egyptian room, which that's the room that you probably saw.
No, I was upstairs.
That's the Egyptian room. That's upstairs. The downstairs though is a room called the deluxe room,
right?
And it has it's like in the basement.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah, and we went to see a band called Red, which is a Christian metal band, and it was horrible. The ceilings were probably 14 feet ceilings at the most. And it was really not very wide, and it was packed, and the music was so loud you couldn't understand anything at all. And we were standing up front, and so I was with a buddy of mine. I'm like, we got to move to the back because it's got to sound better in the back than it sounds out here because it was just all going over us. We went into the back, and it sounded better in the back. Actually, sounded better when you were out in the lobby going to the bathroom than it sounded in the venue.
Wow.
So we're standing back there, and we walked over behind the sound guy. The sound guy had the board pegged to the top. Every button was pegged to the top. I'm like, he should be fired. It was horrible. And I've seen them 2 other times, and they're really good live.
Right.
It was horrible. The worst show ever, for sure. Well, not the worst show ever. Worst venue ever. Not the worst show. The Cars was the worst show.
But that almost sounds like, you remember we're all from Evansville, the old Victory Dungeon.
I never went there. I never went to the Victory.
You never went to the dungeon?
I never went there.
What the hell were you guys doing?
I moved.
Keep in mind, I did not
this
move
was
there.
1983. We played. I remember Dracor Band before we.
I don't. Yeah.
We played down there, but it was the worst room ever. You know, it was like 20 feet this way and 100 and something feet this way. But you played against the short wall, and it's all rock down there. And your speakers were halfway across the floor, so it was just, you know, you'd be as loud as you could get, and the sound was. I mean, it was just, it was horrible.
It was a bad venue. Bad.
Yeah, I heard.
But anyway,
stories
that's all
about,
Sorry.
I heard stories about the Victory Dungeon, but I didn't move to Evansville until like '95, so
Oh, that
I
would have
missed
been.
out
Yeah,
on all of the glory days of the Evansville music scene.
yeah, this was 83. I moved in 83. We started playing the winter of 83 and then played through 85. And then started playing again in 88. And then played, actually 87 to 88. And then I quit again in 89. And then started back up 5 years ago. So.
Okay, so we know who we've seen because we've all written down things. So what is the artist that you really don't want anybody else to know you went to see?
Oh,
Or the one that you had to go see because you had to go, and you're kind of like, God, I really, yeah.
well, I seen this person a few years ago, and I actually have tickets for it again on our anniversary in December. We're going to Nashville but I want to go to the Ryman. I want to see somebody at the, but I'm going to go see the Vince Gill, Amy Grant Christmas show.
I will go. If you don't want to go, give me the tickets. I'll go.
I've seen Vince Gill's Christmas show here. It's been a few years back. I can stand Vince because he's not. I mean, he's a great musician.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like I said, and it's not, and it's Christmas stuff, so I can handle that. Looking back through though, there were two concerts.
We almost named our daughter Amy, and it was after Amy Grant because I had this thing for Amy Grant for a while. It was kind of actually. Isn't this called Confession?
But no, we went. Actually, Rodney and I went twice. We had on free tickets, and we went to some. And I can't even remember what the name of the bands were that opened up, but it was 9 Inch Nails was the headliner, and this is back when it was at Robert Stadium. And we went through about 3 songs, and we heard the first band, and it's just like this electron, you know, this music that we didn't care much for. Then got into 9 Inch Nails. About 2 songs into that, he looked at me and said, "You want to go to Kill and have a picture?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go." So we left because they were free. And then another time that we left like that, of all things, I wanted to see Megadeth real bad, and it was I don't remember the opening band. There was some metal band, and then Pantera. Didn't know. I'd never heard of those guys before. And then Pantera, and then it was Megadeth. After sitting through that first band and then listening to the Pantera, I got through about another 3 songs through Megadeth, which I like those guys, but it's just too much of that shit at one time. And then there was another one. Hey, you want to go Kip? Let's have a picture. Out the door. We're going. You know. So, but I mean, it was like I really wanted to see that band, but man, I can't take too much of, you know, like that screamo stuff.
I can't stand it. I can't at all. I can't stand it.
We were tearing it down the other night there in Jasper Saturday night, and somebody got on the jukebox and put some screamo stuff on. And about third song of it, I told those guys that I gotta go outside for a minute. I've been playing all night. I'm wired. I'm tired. And then I got some guy going. It's like I'm gonna kill somebody if I don't get outside for a minute.
Yeah, that's not music. I can do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
It took me a little bit of thinking because I forgot that I had gone to this show. But when I was stationed in Germany, I went to Hamburg to some club to see Ziggy Marley because the girl that I was hot after wanted to see Ziggy Marley.
What is with this dude and the chicks? Did
she pass out? Did she pass out?
No, this was a different
She
girl.
had to pass out. She was stoned.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell her.
I had forgotten about the Ziggy Marley because honestly, other than that, I can't think of any concerts that I would be embarrassed to tell anybody that I went to.
Okay, so
Who'd you see?
so when I was 12, So when I'm 11, the first show I go see is Kiss, and then I saw Alice Cooper, and my dad and my stepmom are really cool about taking me to shows, and my mom, and so that was pretty cool. But I had a sister who was 7 at the time. Oh God! So my mom comes and she goes, "I just want to let you know that for Christmas I bought Aaron Sean Cassidy tickets." And I'm like,
was big Sean Cassidy.
And I'm like, that's great. She goes,
and you're going,
I bought 3. And I said, who's she taking with you? With her? And she goes, oh no, we're going to go as a family. It's a Christmas thing. And I'm like, no. So I'm sitting there. I wear a Kiss t-shirt on purpose.
Oh yeah. That evens it out.
But he had an opening band called Virgin that was really pretty good. But I thought it was very ironic that a band called Virgin was at a Sean Cassidy show for 12-year-olds. It's like Gene Simmons singing Christine 16. It's kind of like the same thing. Kind of weird.
Creepy. It's creepy.
So I've had younger siblings or whatever cause that happen once, and then Madison got grounded one time, and somehow I ended up having to go see NSYNC, which was just painful.
Oh, I wouldn't go.
The best part of that show was during the intermission. They played the Rolling Stones live.
The ending of it.
And I'm like, don't stop. And people starting to chant. I'm like, quit chanting. Just let the Rolling Stones play. But then Lisa was into it, so we went. But I was just like, oh my God. It was just
I got one for you.
Pain.
I went and seen a couple years ago, but I bought the tickets because my mom and dad were really fans of the show. And we liked the people that year anyway. I went to an American Idol live. There you go.
We did that. That's cool. I did that. Yeah.
We did the one year that, oh shit. Damn it. Can't think of his name. Another famous guy. But the one, shit, what's his name?
Daughtry?
No. I've seen Daughtry though. I've
seen them too.
No, it was Cabo and Daughtry. And it wasn't too bad. Oh, damn it. David
Cook.
David Cook. It was the year he won.
He was in Indianapolis last weekend.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, it was him, and they had that chick that had the remember that one that had the tattoos all over her arm?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hot chick.
I think, I liked that show. I thought that show was pretty cool. A lot of people didn't like it and thought it was just a bunch of crap. I liked it. I thought it was neat. I thought there were some really pretty good artists that came out of that.
Really funny story from that thing is my dad has not seen a concert since probably they went to see a Dick Clark Road show. Okay, if that tells you the last time they went to a concert.
The Turtles, the Buckinghams.
Yeah. So anyway, mom wanted to go, and mom and dad both like, yeah. I said, if I get you tickets, will you want to go? And they said, sure. So we go there, and everybody's fine. We're sitting there, and this thing gets kicked in and stuff, and then they have an intermission about halfway through, And I'm looking at Dad. That's looking kind of funny, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, "You know when that thing first started, that sound was hitting me so hard at the chest." He goes, "I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was going to Kiss." I was like, "Oh, thank God you didn't go to a Kiss concert."
No kidding.
Like,
or Metallica.
Oh yeah. Did you guys go to that real quick? The the Ozzy show where Metallica was there, and Whatchamajito broke his arm.
I've never been to an Ozzy or a Metallica show.
I haven't either.
This was at the Ozzy. Yeah, it was at Mesker.
It was a Master of Puppets tour, wasn't it? Because it was.
Yes, so actually we could have seen Cliff. Yeah. Cliff was still at that point, and James broke his arm. He was out there skateboarding in the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
He broke his arm. So Ozzy, they delayed the thing for a little bit. And then Ozzy came out and did an extra long show, but that was when he had Jakey out there playing. It was a good show though. So
I really didn't get into Metallica till the Black Album, which a lot of people go, "That's not really Metallica." But I like some of the stuff off the other albums, but I couldn't. To me, it was the same stuff of the screaming.
Yeah, I like
speed metal stuff. I just didn't really get into that whole. I just didn't get into that whole scene at all. Never got.
That's another show topic we can have. Which era did you get into a certain band?
Sure.
Yeah, because I came in late on that, but I like their music. If they did the tour where they will go out and play, Masters of Puppets the whole album, I'm not going because I don't want to hear.
See, I like Masters of Puppets. I have a problem with Lars. Lars is a huge douchebag. Actually, I want to put him in that little thing we talked about earlier with our band that we were going to pull together with all the trouble. We're going to throw Lars in there. You know, he's got a little bit of an ego issue too, I think.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So anyway, well, this has been an interesting show. I don't know, where are we on time? We doing okay?
Oh, we're right at an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, I think about the only topic that we said we were going to discuss that we haven't hit on yet is what shows have you seen that have just been a total disaster? The band was a disaster on stage or anything like that.
Right.
I have to.
I got two. I'll go first. I'll get
Go
two.
for it. Give me time to look through my list here.
So the first show, the biggest disappointing show was the Cars. So I saw the Cars in 87, 88.
So you see
After we moved to Indy, there were probably 5,000 people at Market Square Arena, and they were horrible. They sounded horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. The opening band was horrible. I mean, it was just bad. Everything about it was bad. That's the worst show I think I've ever been to. Second, not the worst show, but probably the most disappointing show was probably seeing Motley Crue last summer.
Yeah.
I expected them to be better. And I know Vince is Vince, and Vince is always the way he is, and he never can really sing a whole song because it's not in his repertoire. But, dude, you knew you were going on tour.
Yeah.
Go in the freaking gym, work out a little bit, lay off the cheeseburgers, like drive by McDonald's. You don't have to sponsor your tour because it's not a good thing. It's not helping you out. I mean, you know, when you go to a show like that, Alice Cooper opened that show was just phenomenal. I mean,
it was great. I saw it too. It was awesome.
The very first song, Vince Neil is standing up up on this riser thing, just blowing air big time. I mean, he's sucking air bad, and he's leaning over. They got the camera on him, and he's leaning over, just like, hell, he's going to die in Indianapolis. You know, that's going to be. And talk about four guys that I don't think they like each other at all. I think they're doing it. Obviously, they're doing it for the money because every band does a final farewell tour 14 times for the money. But those guys don't like each other. They never talked to each other. They never interacted with each other on stage. They never kind of ran into each other and kind of bumped each other and thumbs up or, hey, you did a cool job or this was really cool or whatever. Nothing. They just flat didn't communicate, and it was blindingly obvious. And I sat there, and Dennis and I went, and it was. I just sat there and went, I've never seen a band look more uncomfortable on a stage in my life. They just didn't look like they needed to be there. It was shocking. It really was shocking. It was depressing and very shocking.
Well, I saw them back when the Theater of the Pain tour. I saw them back then.
Yeah, I saw
them. You said, they were just. I mean, they were, like you said, bumping each other and high five, doing all this bullshit. And and I know it was early in the tour, and I know that they've got a lot of that because we've talked about this before. A lot of that stuff was sequenced. They had a lot of extra stuff put in there. They didn't have their show down that night. Being third or fourth show in. I mean, they were off key a lot. They would, they tuned that his acoustic guitar for about 5 minutes. Remember, got it all ready, and then they got ready to do the song. The song starts, and he didn't even strum the damn thing. It's like, are you kidding me? He's going to play along with a fucking track. But the whole thing was, and Kelly and I, as soon as we got the car, that was the most painful, obvious thing of the whole thing, is they were four people who hated each other, and this was just they said their goodbyes a long time ago. There was nothing. This was a goodbye to the fans. But even when they did their little talks, they went separate. Everybody, and I don't think, did Tommy say a word the whole night?
No,
I don't remember Tommy saying one word. I don't think Mick. I know Neil said his little thing, and then Nikki said his little thing. But like you said, in between, I thought at one point, Nikki was probably going to take that flame-throwing bass and just burn Vince to the ground, because I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me a bit. I was like, okay, I can understand that.
If he'd have been out on that stage, it's probably exactly what would have happened.
But it was uncomfortable. I mean, you could just tell weird. There was, and the only other time that I've ever seen that type situation is I was so excited to see Van Halen in the '84 tour, and there again, there was four people on that stage that freaking hated each other. Well, I think it was more the fact that they all hated Dave, and Dave hated, it was that thing. But it was one of those nights where you could just tell, well, the way they played and the way they acted on stage, that they just were not fucking happy at all. I mean, they were just there collecting a check, playing some songs, and getting the hell out. And it's sad, when you're all excited about seeing your band or seeing a band that you really like, and then they go pulling crap like that. It's like, wow, So anyway,
I've got one here that isn't so much a disaster as it is humorous. But maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, two of my friends, both of their bands opened up for Puddle of Mud here in Evansville in the Woody's parking lot, off of the Lloyd Expressway and Main Street.
Sure.
Well, my friend's band got done. The other friend's band got done. Puddle of Mud wouldn't even come out of the tour bus until it was time to play. And then they came out of the tour bus and then went back into the tour bus, and then they just had to come back out for the encore because they hadn't played their two biggest hits yet. Well, all of a sudden you hear this roaring crowd noise, and there's like maybe 200 people out in the parking lot. Well, they're pumping crowd noise through their sound system and getting it to sound like, they're wanting an encore. And the guys in one of the bands I was playing with, I was like, do you guys hear this? Am I hearing things? And they're like, oh my God, these guys are a bunch of effing douches. But that was more humorous than it was disastrous. I had a disaster story, and it slipped my mind. I went and saw Tool. That wasn't a disaster, but the band that opened for them, I believe the name of the band was Melt Banana, and they were some Japanese band. And my God, that girl could scream. And it wasn't a good scream. It was like when you try to give a cat a bath in the toilet by flushing.
Wow.
And then when Tool come out, they didn't do any of the songs that I wanted to hear. And then Maynard's vocal was so low in the mix, you couldn't even hear him singing at all. So that was a little bit of a disaster. Somebody else.
That show you were talking about with that when you took your, I don't remember if it's the first time you took your girlfriend or the second time, but the Joan Jett deal with Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Cheap Trick was such a letdown that night. I think that's when
stay for Cheap Trick because the weather was bad. We had to get back down to Kentucky.
Well, that's when they had the flame was. That was when the flame was big, and they were out. So my death knell for a concert is when I hear the words, all right, we're going to play something from our new album. It's like, all right, it's bathroom break time.
No, for me, when it's
solos,
guitar solos and drum solos, I don't want to hear that crap ever. I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
No.
You're in a band. You can play. I have your record. I have your CD. I have your MP3. I don't need to hear a drum solo, and I want to hear that is the best time for a pee break right there. Guitar solos, drum solos.
Cheap Trick is a great band, and when I see Cheap Trick, play Budokan. Play everything off there. They got so many great tunes. And that night, I think, if we go back, they didn't even play Surrender that night. It's one of those nights where they were just like I left there going, man, I had so many hopes to see, so many songs for them to play. And I heard The Flame, and I heard this 10 other songs off their new album that I don't give a shit about.
I must have not seen that tour. I must have been confused because I saw a tour with them.
Of '88.
Was that when it was?
Well, that makes that. I would have been up here though, but I thought I saw them in Evansville. I thought I saw them in Evansville, headline in Evansville. So that was in probably '83.
They opened for
'81.
They opened for Stone Temple Pilots. Later on,
open for everybody, I think.
We went to see them
out there,
and then that's the thing there for a few years. Man, I'm telling you what, Ted Nugent opened up. I don't know how many shows here in Evansville, and Joan Jett did that too. She was here quite a bit as an opener for a long time. Every time you turn around, it was Joan Jett and this, and Joan Jett and this, and then it was Ted Nugent and this, Ted Nugent this. Ted was like, "Hey, I'm not doing nothing. I'm hunting. I'll come down and play."
In 1 year, and I think it was 1984, maybe, or '83. I saw Y&T 3 times in the summer on 3 different tours.
I've seen Y&T. Now that you said that, we were talking about that earlier, but I don't remember who I seen them open for.
Yeah, I can't remember, but
that was probably one of those REO shows. I bet you
Could have
dollars.
been. Yeah, they opened for they were like open for everybody. Summertime Girls just that.
I have an awkward concert story for you.
Okay.
It was in sometime in '93, I believe it was. Quiet Riot had gotten the mental health lineup back together, and I was living in Colorado Springs at the time, and they came and played in a little country bar called the Cowboys. And you want to talk about a band that looked out of place in a venue, you know. Of course, Kevin Dubrow. I was like, where did he get all that hair?
It's a wig.
He had this huge wig
that doesn't move.
But their dressing room was, you know, just like a little closet between the men's room and the ladies' room. And I happened to be walking past, and Kevin looked at me like, what have I got myself into? That's pretty awesome.
You know, it's cool to see a band in a small situation like that, though. I seen in Oklahoma City, I saw Kansas. If that tells you. But they were at a bar. It was this bar. It was right next to the hotel that I was staying in called In Cahoots. It was one of those big, like, you know, where they kind
of dance floor in the middle.
Yeah. But they set up on the side, and dude, I was sitting in the first chair, and it wasn't 20 feet away, and they played, and they played every, you know, it was. I never heard it one time the whole night. Here's something from our new album. It was all the old stuff, and I tell you what, they were fantastic. And it was just like I was going, man, I'm so close, and I mean that kind of intimate setting is really cool.
So okay, I'll tell you one quick last story, and then we probably ought to wrap it up. Wrap it. So back in the '90s, sometime when Great White was still together, it was the original band. A friend of mine at work, her friend was the grandmother of Jack Russell's wife.
Okay.
So she wanted to take this elderly lady to see Great White, to meet Jack, to give him some stuff, and you know, because they're family. So it was in a bar, and it was in a country bar in Indianapolis. So we go, and I'm like, you know, are we going to really get to meet Jack? Oh yeah, we're going to go on the tour bus and take us backstage, you know, all this kind of stuff. We're like, yeah, okay. I was like, yeah, whatever. Well, Cheryl didn't have any idea who Great White was. I was a Great White fan. I love Great White. So
sure.
Big fan. So I was excited. And then obviously I don't remember her name, Mrs. B is what they call her. You know, she was obviously a fan because it was her grandson. So we get to the show, and we're getting stuff out of the car while they pick me up, and they're like taking pies out of the back of the car. So, hey,
they got pot in them though.
Bill,
you know
can
that.
Bill, can you carry these pies? And I'm like, sure. So we're walking up to the venue. I've got 2 pies, carrying these 2 pies, and they're like, I get up to the thing, and she gets up to the door. She knocks on the door. They open. It was actually the door to the venue because we got there like 2 hours early. They said, yeah. They said, she said, oh, well, my name's so-and-so, and, you know, I'm Jack's grandmother, and, you know, we're supposed to meet him, and I'm standing there with these 2 pies. So I'm like, and they goes, oh, well, I need to see if your name's on the list. And I'm like, okay, for the first time in my life, my name is going to be on the list. I'm going to go on the tour bus, and I'm carrying 2 pies. So, yep, your name's on the list. We'll take you right back. So we go back there. She knocks on the door. Jack comes down. He's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And he was all hugging. He goes, you are the most important guy that got here tonight. If nobody else arrives at this venue, you are the only one that mattered. You got the pies. I'm like, yes. And he needs to have pie.
Oh, that's funny.
We got pictures and stuff like that. It was great. And it was funny because he did a thing during the show where he took a fire extinguisher that was full of water and sprayed the crowd. And he sprayed everywhere around us. He did not spray his grandmother. He sprayed either side of us. He sprayed over the top of us, but he did not spray around us. It was funny. And then we went backstage after the show was over, and that's the 3rd show they had done in a week, and in that week. And so, you know, they have a rider with all their food stuff. We loaded just piles of food and soft drinks and liquor in the back of her car to bring home. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Your grandma will have this Jack Daniels. We don't need it.
Wow. But anyway, so that's a Very
That's an
unique,
awesome
funny
story, though.
story. But it was an awesome story. It was a lot of fun.
First, you feel like you're a dumbass with the pies.
I was so stupid. I'm like,
you're the best guy there.
Seriously, I'm going to be carrying these pies on the tour, and I got to be on the tour bus. I'm like, I'm carrying pies. All right, so it looks like hopefully this hour plus whatever was funny, and
I hope so.
give you a little insight into kind of where we're at, shows we've been to, things we've liked about shows, things we don't like about shows, and just kind of our quirky little weird stuff about all the concerts we've seen. I think we got a pretty good repertoire between the three of us. Seen some of the same bands, and then have definitely not seen some of the same bands.
We've been in some of the same shows together without realizing it.
I think we've been to some of the same shows together without realizing it, which is pretty cool.
And what's going to be fun is that we'll probably in the future we're going to go see some together, and then we can.
That's right.
We can report back whole. We can tell them about everything. Take some pictures, carry pies. Whatever we got to do.
Take pictures, tell lies, carry pies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, I got a feeling I'm going to pay for that for a while.
Bill the pie guy.
There you go. He has a big number and pie.
Exactly.
Oh, the big number is pie. There you go.
Exactly.
Oh, I see what you did.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you wrap.
All right. On that note, we will see you all next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.